Okay, what I want us to do now is take a block, talk about how to add and subtract unlike fractions. And this is really review, but it's such an important skill. I want to make sure that we've gone over it. It's been done some in 3rd grade and even in 4th grade. And so here's what we have. First of all, adding fractions, once you have the same denominator, is really easy. For example, if you had 2/7 plus 3/7. Well, if you remember that sevenths is really just the name of the unit, and that's really the key, is understanding that the denominator names the unit. It's not a number to be added or subtracted, it's the name of the unit. So if we think about it, you can even put it in word form, 2/7 plus 3/7. Well, we would add the numbers and keep the units, and so we would get 5/7. Now, most of you know that, but I do occasionally get somebody who would answer this with something like 5/14 because they would add the units, but that's not the case. The unit stays the same, and we just add the numerators because the numerator represents the number of pieces. Now, where it expands further, though, is when we have different denominators. So, for example, if I had 1/6 plus 2/3, and those numbers are much harder to add because if we think about it like a pizza, for example, okay, and so if you had a pizza divided in 6 equal pieces, and then you have one divided in 3 equal pieces, and let's give them a little bit of color. We'll have blue pizza. If I want to add these pizzas, some people attempt to say, well, you have 3. And I always say, okay, you have 3 what? And people can't name that, and the reason is that the pieces aren't the same size. And so what we notice is that's how it happens when we have different denominators. We have a 6 and a 3. Those are called unlike fractions. Unlike fractions have different denominators. And so the key is this. It's as easy as just counting them or adding them up if the pieces are the same size. And what we should notice is that we can make a pizza in 3 slices into 6 by cutting each piece in half. Okay, and so we recognize that that 2/3 is the same thing as 4/6, right? 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 times 2 is 4. And so now we do have all the same unit, and that's the key to adding fractions. So we have 1/6 plus 4/6, and when you add those together, you get 5/6. That is super, super important to understand. When you have unlike fractions, if you put them in the same unit, and the word we use for that is a common means the same denominator, which of course is the bottom number that names the units, tells how many equal parts are in a whole. Okay, and so that's how we add those fractions. What I want to give are some fractions. These are actually related fractions because 3 easily goes into 6. Sometimes it's not that simple, and so we're going to look at how to use our least common multiple skills. So I'm going to give us this now. What if we had 4/5 plus 2/3? Well, here's what I know. If I had fifths are kind of hard to draw. Let me do my best. And then I have 2/3. And this is going to be hard to do in a drawing, and you're going to find out drawing's not always our best bet. But it's a good way to start and give a picture. So if I have 4/5 and I have 2/3, well, I can't say I have 6 because 6 what? I don't know. And so we have to find a common unit. But here's the problem. I can't make the pizza with 5 pieces into 3 slices, or the pizza with 3 into 5. Another way to say that is one number is not a factor of the other. So these are unlike fractions. And so I'll say, well, what number can I put them in? And do you remember all that lowest common multiple work we did earlier in the year? It's for a moment like this. I want to find the lowest number that 5, which has multiples of 5, 10, 15, 20, and 3, which has multiples like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. What I want to do is find a common multiple of 5 and 3. And I see it right here. It's 15, right? 15 is the lowest common multiple of 5 and 3. Okay, and so here's what I actually want to do. I want to say if I have 4/5 of a pizza, I could cut every piece in 3, and that'd give me 15. And I'd have 12 of them highlighted, right? 4/5 is the same number as 12/15. 2/3 is the same thing as 10/15, right? We multiplied the numerator and denominator by 5 on that one. And so this is really the same thing as 12/15 plus 10/15, which is 22/15. And I shouldn't be bothered by the improper fraction. It's really easy to fix. 22 divided by 15 is 1, and the remainder is 7. So I get 1 and 7/15. And that is how we add unlike fractions. I didn't do any subtraction problems on there, but subtraction is exactly the same thing. There are some special things that show up in subtraction sum, which will be on our next video.